This is a presentation of the different tenses in the English language, and the term tense is the grammatical term for time. We have the present tense, which is used when referring to the present time. That means now. For example, I love grammar. Note that there are cases where Swedish uses the past tense and English uses the present tense. Examples of this are: it's kind of you to remember me. In Swedish we use the past tense. Det var snällt av dig att komma ihåg mig. That's a good idea, but I can't afford it. In Swedish you could use either present or past tense. Det är eller var en bra idé. I'm glad to hear that you're safe. Det var skönt att höra. Is that all? Var det allt? Turned up in the wrong page there, but still. The present tense always occurs with either of the aspects, the simple form or the progressive forms, mainly depending on whether something is going on at the time of speaking or not. For example, a simple form is I wish I lived in Canada, where I always heard it snows a lot. Snows is a simple form, and progressive form is it's snowing happening right now. We have the past tense, which refers to something that happened at a certain time in the past. For example, I loved grammar. Last time I gave you my heart. Gave is a verb in past tense. Note that the past tense also can be used to express politeness. Could you pass me the sugar, please? Or I was wondering if you could tell me how to get to the train station. Was is used since it's more polite to use was than to say just I am wondering. We have the past tense after expression it's high time or it's time. It's high time we spent more time focusing on the task ahead is the example. In Swedish, however, we use the present tense. Det är dags att vi lägger mer tid på. Present tense, present perfect, I have always loved grammar, is mainly used to describe something that has or has not happened at an unspecified time in the past and is often related in some way to the present. For example, Fox reports that the plane has landed, meaning the plane is here now. Another example, oh, have you been to Sarah? Present perfect is the relation to the present is that the question is if you've been there yet. And since you don't know the answer, you can use the present perfect. Present perfect sometimes indicates that something's still the case. For example, I have lived in New York just over 4 years. Spelling error there on just. And I still do. That's the meaning when you use present perfect. We have produced the best wine for more than 50 years, and we still do. That's still the case. Note, however, the past tense is used in English to describe that something has happened but is definitely over, whereas in Swedish you can use the present perfect instead. For example, Betty lived in London for 6 years, but she's not doing it now. In Swedish that is Betty har bott i London i 6 år. That's the past perfect. Past perfect then, in Swedish plusquamperfekt is used to talk about something that had or had not happened, often before something else. For example, about the time I'd finished cooking supper, the thunder began. Past perfect also occurs in indirect speech, when someone talks about something that had happened. She later told us that she'd never once suspected a thing. It's also used to express conditions and wishes. For example, if I had seen my boyfriend, I would have strangled him. Then we have the future. There is no tense called future in the English language, so instead we use different constructions in order to express intention and planned arrangements and so on. The two most frequent ones being shall and will or be going to. Shall and or will is considered to be considered being a bit more formal than be going to. Note, however, that when the English language uses a construction in order to talk about something in the future, the Swedish language sometimes uses the present tense. For example, I will call you tomorrow, future using the word will, but in Swedish, jag ringer dig imorgon. Ringer is the present tense. We also have conditional constructions. A conditional construction is used to talk about something which could or would happen, provided a certain condition is fulfilled, hence conditional. There are three main types of conditional constructions in English, and those are the following, with shall and will, would and would have. For example, I would have brought you flowers if I hadn't forgotten my wallet. And a short exercise to practice what you've just learned. Fill in the blanks, please. And if you want to, you can stop the film while you do this. And the key is as follows. Is, will come, was born, will write, and has lived. But it's also possible with has been living. Another a short question. Think about the difference between irregular verbs and regular verbs. Irregular verbs are, of course, are inflected in the same way, whereas irregular verbs are not. And if you find it difficult to use the right verb form when you write, please revise in the grammar section on either the web or if you have a book with a CD. You can also find links in your English folder. And that ends this lesson about tenses.